This video is called Our Dad's Garage. He's my dad. Yeah!
Well, hey guys, it's JD again, still working here on the horse trailer. And today's a good day because we got the new hot water heater in from Amazon. Actually got here in like 48 hours, which is pretty cool. And the old one's got to come out. So I'm going to kind of document how to do a water heater change out on an RV. Now this is just a gas or a propane water heater. This does not have electric heating elements. It does have an electric igniter. Already kind of come in here with my X-Acto knife, and I've cut along this edge here to try to kind of release that silicone caulk. And now I'm going to come in here and take out all these little screws, and we get that out. We'll do some prying on it and see if we can't get that guy to budge. Okay, I would like to also go on record and say how much I detest these little square tip screws that are so popular in the RV manufacturers. I mean, I guess the only good thing about them is if you ever do get the right size tip, if you ever can find it, they rarely ever strip out, even when they get pretty old. But they are so aggravating because they get stuck in your tip and they won't come out, and then you lose your tip. And it's pretty aggravating. So I'm not a big fan, but if you're going to work on your RV, you need to go to the hardware store and get a couple of tips of these square. Let's see if I can make it focus. They're just square on the tip. And you've got these heads on these bolts. Not a fan. All right, so now I've got all the bolts out, and I'm going to go around here with this putty knife, and I'm going to kind of give a little pry all around the edges here. That's grease on my putty knife. Yes, I also just finished doing the slide out, so that video you'll see soon. And I've still got grease on my putty knife, but it won't hurt anything. But if you get you a good putty knife, you can get in behind there, and finally you will feel it kind of release. And it's just about to. Here it goes. Just got to get all that silicone. There it goes. Now, you see it's loose, and it should slide right on out. Now I've got to go back inside and disconnect all the plumbing. Okay, here we are on the inside. This is the back side of the hot water heater inside the cabinet. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and release, let's see, this is the cold water coming in. I'll disconnect that. I'm going to disconnect the cold water, the hot water going back out, and I'm going to disconnect the wiring to this little module. We have a new module that's coming in, and then right up there you will see some power wires from 12 volt. I believe that's from 12 volt that will be disconnected. I'll take a few pictures of this first. I always like to take pictures of what I'm disconnecting because there's not always a great guy like me on YouTube tells you how to do all this stuff. And most of this stuff is plastic on plastic. It's going to come apart pretty easy. When you just kind of have to resolve yourself to the fact that you've got to basically unbuild everything that's been built inside here and start over because you can't disconnect these things any other way except for take all of this loose. If you take all this loose, then you can take this, you can spin that, but that nut right there has to come off first. So you've got to take all this loose so that this will turn. And there's no other way to do that. Same thing with this. You've got to disconnect these pieces here, so you can probably take this off and then this piece will back off. But I don't know of any other way to do it, so you just have to kind of take it all apart and put it back together. Okay, that's all the pipes. I've marked my water in. I've marked, this one's going to be pretty obvious, especially for the video, but I've marked all the other ones. I don't know if you can see, I wrote on there what they go to. even on that one. So all of the water pipes are now disconnected. I will unscrew this little guy.
Ow.
Yeah. What are you doing, buddy? Okay, I'm back outside. We're gonna start giving it a tug. My propane inlet is right here. Once you get this nut off, you just take a screwdriver or something and push that back through there, and the whole thing will just pop back in. And that should release you to be able to pull this on out.
I'm just giving you this back.
Well, I don't need it, so just put it down somewhere.
Oh, and if one side doesn't stick like the other side, that's fine.
Okay. I've gone back inside. I've disconnected everything that should be holding it. And this guy should come right on out now. We shall see. And all the mouse poop. Okay, so it's out. And I went ahead and took pictures of everything that these connections were connected to. This is just trash. I'm going to get in there with the vacuum cleaner and get all of the mouse crap and stuff picked out. I'm sure this little leg will come in handy, so I'm going to leave it there. And let's see, what else? That's about it. That's the propane connection there. So it should be all pretty well. I'll come around here with the putty knife and I will clean this up, this putty here, and we're going to use that gray window and door silicone to seal this back up again. But I'm going to start just cleaning up this edge, get the vacuum out, clean all that mess up before we install the new one. Okay, that's got the surround fairly clean, and I've cleaned up most of the poo and debris inside there. I'm not cleaning all that stuff up. It's mostly just dirt, but all the loose stuff has been cleaned out. So we're ready to install the new one. Okay, apparently this one did not come with the mounting ring. I would have assumed, I guess I did assume, that that was a standard piece. So we'll have to reuse this one from the old one. Now this one has a little bit of rust damage, so I'm hoping that this will all come apart without boogering it up too bad. So we will see how that goes together. Okay, and the beauty ring did come out. So it slides inside this. It doesn't seem like it wants to come out, but you just kind of keep prying really slow so you don't bend it, and it will come apart. This one is pretty nasty, but it is what it is. We're going to have to reuse it. I may go put a little bit of Rust-Oleum on that and hit that with a wire brush real quick. Okay, and there I've got it set inside the hole. Now I passed the little box through before I put the water heater inside the hole, or you can't get it through these little gaps. So you have to do that and just kind of hold your wires. And then these are the wires from the RV itself. These need to be pulled through, and then these wires need to be back where you can access them too. But you need to get this guy in here where you can work on it, and it needs to be sitting just about like that. And then now you can go ahead and get your flange put in place and get it wired up. Okay, and I've connected all of my wires color to color, just like it was supposed to, just like it came out. And I'm ready to push this guy on back in. These two wires are for the electric element. Is an option on this one to have an electric element, and I'm going to run power to that later. And I can get to those from inside that cabinet, so I'm just going to tuck them in here, and I'll be able to access them once I get it installed. And I have installed this plate, this mounting ring. We'll just have to go around and tighten all those screws back up. All right, propane supply has come out, so it's time to take this little cap, this little protective cap off. You can put this on later. Take this little red protective cap off. Okay. Now this is a compression fitting, so it does not need to have any kind of Teflon tape. And And you'll have to finagle this guy to get it to finally line up there. Be careful that you don't crimp your pipe, because that'll be a whole nother mess that you've got to fix. But once you get it lined up, you get it tight, you go ahead and snug it up really good. And again, compression fittings don't take Teflon tape, so you just have to get them tight. They're literally a compression fitting. The more you compress it, the tighter it gets. And when you feel it bottom out, that's all it's going to do. And that's it. All right, folks, well, I've cleaned up around the outer edge of the old flange, and I still like Dynaflex Ultra. It is by DAP. This is the gray, so again, it's going to match the finish of the camper. If you see a little above it, that's great. I've got it as cleaned up as I intend to clean it. This is a horse trailer after all, not a $50 million rig, so we're going to put a little silicone bead all the way around here, and then we'll push this guy in place and screw it back in. All right, that's the kind of squeeze out you're looking for all the way around. That means it's got a good seal. And I go around with my God-given caulk gun and give it a nice final touch. Okay, and now I have all of the hookups all put back together. So you have to rebuild all this. You kind of have to start here and kind of work your way out, and you have to kind of take it all apart and put it back together the best you can. You can't take it off in pieces. You just don't have room to do that. But it's pretty easy, stacked together kind of like Legos. Not that big a deal. So all we got to do now is check the power and hook up some water to it eventually. Okay, guys, and now I have wired the AC component to that. And so both of those wires are black, and it's because I only had black as individual wiring. And I used some 12 gauge wire, and I came in, I'll tell you what I had to do. Off the back of this outlet, I have pulled power for this unit. So the horse trailer does not have the available space in the circuit box for its own hot water heater power source. So under load, this hot water heater is probably going to eat up most of the power off of that circuit. Now that circuit is for the vanity and the kitchen outlets. So what I did was I ran this to run my stove off the back of the microwave, which is a dedicated circuit for 20 amps. And I've run that off of the microwave circuit up there. So that should allow the use of the microwave and other electronic devices at the same time. Probably not the stove and the microwave at the same time. I think that's going to exceed our amp load. May not, but it might. If we were running another electrical appliance here and the hot water heater was running, it may trip the circuit. And if it does, you're just going to have to know that it is overloaded, and that's the deal. We just don't have the available electricity to do that. So this is not a camper that somebody's going to live in full time at all. So there may be some aggravation to this. But at the same time, you do have the electric on and off switch right here. So that selects, if it's in the on position, it's running on electric. If it's in the off position, it's running on propane. So she'll get an instruction manual on how to do all this. But that's about the best option that I had for running power to this. But anyway, it is installed now. I can't test it because I don't have water hooked up, but you'll just have to believe me that it does work.